My name is Cameron Camera. I work for Hunter Lawrence under factory Honda HRC. Yeah, we'll start at the front of the bike with Hunter's. He runs a Renthal 827 handlebar and about a neutral position on the bar mount, a little bit rolled back with the handlebar position. Running a Works triple clamp, Works bar mount, Works front brake, and we have a Works hydro clutch. That's giving the boys just consistency throughout the day. The front brake's giving us a little bit more braking power. We're running just a stock housing on our throttle, but we are using a billet throttle tube. And we're also running the Renthal half waffle grip. Pretty soft compared to what normal people run. Hunter likes it. Hunter likes it a little worn in. He likes everything a little worn in. So on our buttons on the handlebar, we got our kill switch and our starter. They're made in-house. They are Works. Probably can't find them. I think maybe the 250 does have this guard, but otherwise all internals made in-house. It's all durability. There is some cool carbon trinkets we got. For the shrouds, we have a little piece that are made in-house that we rivet on so that he doesn't catch his boot. We have a steering stabilizer, so we put this carbon piece in here so it doesn't get roosted and beat up because they are pretty fragile. We're running a stock front brake line. They're good. They're nice and firm, so they don't expand at all under heavy braking. Showa suspension, backed by factory connection. It's a Works 8 kit, and Derek's been doing a great job giving us a good setting. We got stock lugs and coated tubes. For whatever reason, they picked the stock lug over the Works one that Showa provides, and it seems to be working out for them. To our whole shot device, we run a Works connection. Super easy for us to set it with our rider. Hunter likes it, I would say mid-deep. We're not the deepest. I see a lot of guys struggle on the gate trying to lock it, and that just lets me know that they're trying their hardest to get it down there. But we're at about 125 to 130 depending on what we're running. But off the grate, it's pretty consistent, so we'll stick to one. When we go outdoors, it changes up a little bit. Fork, we have easy adjust. Hunter loves that because when we're on the track, especially with COVID, sometimes we weren't able to get our techs down there. This year they've been a little more lenient, but he's able to quickly adjust compression on the fly. Moving down on the fork guard, typically you'd run a stock bike would have steel bolts holding the fork guard on. We use 2 tie. They're a little bit stronger with straps so that the plastic doesn't rip through. And then on the back side, we'll just run aluminum just because it's light, it's easy. And then on the other side, it's all aluminum because there's no stress on it. Front wheel, we're running a Works hub with a DIT LTX rim and Works spokes. We're running the Dunlop 768 front tire. There's another option if it does get a little crumbly that we could switch to that we have mounted up. But yeah, we're running a tie front axle, tie pinch bolts, and aluminum nut. Believe it or not, moving to the front brake rotor is stock, and then we run our Works caliper. To protect it all, we have our carbon plate that is custom made for us. Glides through the ruts really well, and it doesn't flex, so it's a pretty strong piece. The radiators right off the shelf, we do polish them up, make them look nice. We have a louver. We don't have it on the bike because it's not muddy, but we have one that has some mesh on it, keep the rocks down from beating up the fins. We like to use Oticers around the hoses, and then on the other side for easy access, if we bend up a radiator, we can quickly spin it off, get it out, and then I have a whole new system that I just chuck right on if we were run into any problems. On the radiator cap, it is a 1.8. I also just started pinning mine because I saw the fiasco a couple weekends ago with Anderson's bike, and I'm not sure what happened, but if I can do anything to prevent something to go wrong on the motorcycle, so I pin my radiator cap just for safety. I think everybody's seen it now, but we ran that the last few rounds at outdoors, and I think you see it on the Star bike, the MCR bike, electric water pump. We found something with it to help the motor, so we're running it. It's been really freaking good, and that's something that our R&D guys came up with at the shop, and we slapped it on and made it work. Where the pump is, all of that is custom routing, and then the rest is standard. We had to get with CB4 to help us make some custom hoses with that. that, and they knocked it out of the park. Our tank is Thai, but all these new bikes are coming with Thai tanks these days. We're running VP Racing fuels. It's been top notch. The guys are hooking us up really well out there, delivering all the power we need. Engine is all built in-house. Ryan Cox is our developer. Gil helps him build engines and get the job done. They've been doing a killer job. Last year's bike was insane. We're still trying to work some little bugs out with the new bike. It's standard when you get a completely different motor, you know what I mean? So we're working out the bugs in that, but clearly working. We're on the box every weekend. We have the capabilities to somewhat tailor this engine. We're still waiting on for a few things, but yeah, there's always want for a little more power, whether it's up on top or on bottom, but he's the kind of guy that rides in a higher gear, so he does like some torque and he likes it to carry out mid-top. So to tailor that, it is tough, but we're working on it. We're doing the best we can. We have stock engine hangers just cleaned up, make it look nice with some tie bolts. Carbon skid plate. The big thing was protection because we were cracking primary covers with rocks. We did it multiple times and with our stock skid plates. So they designed this full custom for the 250 because 250, 450 are different, and it hasn't affected any chassis work. It is a little noisy when rocks hit it, but most of all, it protects the motorcycle so that we can keep racing, because it's a big deal if we get a rock chip. That's end story right there. So we do have a pretty awesome deal in-house where we're making our harnesses, and what you see there is our main harness and our data. Working on trying to finagle it around. Right now it's in our airbox and we kind of want to get it out of there, but for now it's working great. There's these little clips too that Ricky made in-house with his 3D printer, and he busts out all of our wiring stuff, and it works really good. We're able to wash our bikes and not have to worry about any issues with water in our plugs. Or also is a big thing with shock changes, with subframe changes. This harness makes it a lot easier to move the back end around. It makes it a lot easier to unclip things. The routing's really nice, and like I said, full custom. The guys are killing it out there in the shop. Compared to the 450, that's a full works ignition cover and slave cylinder. It's a lot less going on compared to the 450. They're jealous. We love it because it's so easy. 3 bolts, comes off, everything stays together, and you can bleed it, whatever you need to do, put it back on. We have a little safety wire, and we use a tie bolt for the banjo. We have an option half spline, but we run a standard shifter. They were all tie, and we were a little worried about the tie one bending the shift shaft, so we were able to have them make an aluminum one that would bend a little bit easier. He loves the knurled shift tip rather than the rubber tip. It has a little more grip. He loves the grip tape. I love the grip tape because it saves me a little in wash jobs. So you rip it off, it's all nice and clean under there. Keeps his feet on the pegs. We added the wing. The wing's kind of been a big story. Felt that they weren't getting very good ankle support where they could squeeze and hold on through the whoops and rhythms. Back in the day, they used to have it on the other side. Like they would have that cover. So we were like, well, let's try to make something around that. So we had it welded some tabs, made it match each side so they have something to grip with their ankles. We do have grip tape up the number plate, and that's just equal to what's on the frame, what's on the wing. It just all is the main point to hang on to the motorcycle. Moving up, we do have 4 holes, a number plate that goes into the airbox just for some added airflow. We do have some stuff crammed in there, and we just want to get as much airflow to that filter as we can. We're running a twin air filter. It is, I guess, a better breathing air filter. I think that's all I can really elaborate on that. They make great products, and it definitely helps our bike. If you look closely at the swing arm pivot, we got a tie pivot in there. We've gone through all of them, and that's the one Hunter chose. Subframe is stock. It is lowered. I'm not going to tell you how much lower, but it is lowered to what Hunter likes. We're running a full factory foot peg and a mount with a steel pin and tie spring, tie bolts, and they are back a little bit. Again, I'm going to leave you in the mystery of what they are. They're a few mil back, we'll put it at that. Renthal sprockets, 1348 with a DID Riv Link chain. If you look closely at the chain guide, it doesn't have a window where the stock one would. It's all blocked off just for rocks can get in there, chew up the chain, break that off, and then you're DNF. Chain slide is stock. Rear wheel, we got our factory works hub with our DID LTX rim. We're running a Dunlop 110. We do flip around 110 to 120 depending on the track. If it's real slick and blue groove, we do have the option of a 120. I don't think it's as wide as what the 450 guys run. I think it's a little possibly shorter. So there's a few variables we could use for a rear tire, just depending on track conditions. We do use a groover to help with traction. We'll throw a groove through the center knobby. We run a works axle block, pretty much a pin that locks the block on. So if we do have a flat tire, it stays together with the axle. So it's easy slide in, slide out. And we're using a tie axle as well, aluminum nut. We've played around with gearing for chassis work, and he likes that, I would say, mid-back is best for him. That's what we found that he likes the best, that works the best for us. So for our rear brake, we're still on a completely stock system. The reservoir doesn't have a window. That is a works part. I like to wire tie the sheathing around the brake line just to keep it from moving back and forth. We run aluminum banjos just for, it's light. We wire tie those as well just for safety. For the rotor, it's also stock with tie bolts, also for strength and lightness. And our pedal is also a works pedal. It works clevis, and it's taller for brake position. If you run that brake up high, you're gonna need more thread. So they run a deeper clevis. It's like a little check. So if we ever hit that brake pedal super hard, it has a stop. So it hits the frame so you don't blow the guts out of the reservoir there. There's a tie tip also for strength, and it's light. So you'll see a little wire going from the tip of the brake pedal to our engine mount. And that's just if anything snags it, a tough block. We've ran into it where it just grabs that thing and rips it around and bends it. So we try to keep that there to keep the brake pedal from getting bent. So obviously we're on a hydro system. So we go digging around the shop, use old clutch cables, or if we have to bust out a new one, we will, just to have them on the truck. And yeah, it's simple as that. We use a crimp and old clutch cable to keep that thing secure. As far as shock go, it's factory 8-kit Showa shock with a works linkage. There's a few options. There's different curves with each linkage, which makes it stiffer or softer. Hunter's found one that he likes, and we're kind of sticking to it for this season. So we're running the full tie system by Yoshimura. We have the O2 bung for data, helps us with trimming the ECU and making the bike perform the best each weekend for weather, and basically if it's cold or hot. And it helps if we see anything weird, we can assess it and change a part out if that's where it leads us. So we have our secondary starter, which is right under the frame spar next to the relocated reg rec box. Yeah, just if any shit show happens, tip over, bust this one off on the handlebar, he's got that secondary one, get the bike going, because there's no Kickstarter anymore, full e-start. Hunter's always been a big clutch guy, and Hinson's made us some good systems, and we finally found one that's tailored to Hunter's feel. And like all last year, he ran a cable clutch with a stock perch, stock lever, because that's what he liked. Now we're still on a stock lever because he loves the feel of it and engagement, and he likes them very far in, just to where he's grabbing basically the end, like the last part of the lever, he likes it right there. But as far as the cover, Hinson does a great job, makes us our billet covers and all of our internals. Our primary cover is Acadize, just for durability, and then we do have a works cover for where the water pump would be. And then to make the bike look nice, Throttle Jockey does all of our prints, all of our numbers. They've been working with Honda 25 plus years, something like that. We do use the Cycra Stadium plate. It helps protect the triple clamp a little bit and the fork. So our whole back fender is all cut out, and Throttle Jockey does all of that for us. Our shrouds are fully cut out just to save weight. If you go and weigh out your entire graphic kit, it does make a difference to run as the least amount of sticker as possible. So they hook us up and cut all that out for us. They also cut out our frame tape as well. So on our battery box, there's just a little bit of reflecting tape just to keep the heat off the battery, because it is tucked in between the motor and the shock and the exhaust. So we're just trying to keep some heat off there. So Vortex hooking up with our ECU, it works well with our system. It's kind of carried over from Geico over to factory Honda. Ryan Cox loves it. So in our engines, we're using Pro Honda keep them lubricated, keep them cool. Jet's a little lengthier. I mean, if you look at them, they kind of look the same, but Jet has a little more arm, a little more leg, so his controls are a bit different up front on the handlebar. I'm pretty sure his bar mounts are rotated forward, where we're rotated back. Hunter likes it rolled down just a little bit more. As far as legs too, the subframe I talked about earlier, we have a cut one. He would run a standard one just because he has a little bit more leg. I believe he's on a different foot peg as well. You wouldn't think so, but if you look at him ride, they're two completely different guys. Well, it comes down to the week before Anaheim, my chick gets COVID. So I tell Honda says stay home. I have no motorcycle, I'm sitting on the couch. Johnny O texts me, we're riding west. My bike is parts. A Jets mechanic, Christian, he filled in for me. Jet's race bike that was supposed to be on the line, number 18, now has a 96 on it. So I had pretty much inherited Jet's race bike, had to change all the parts out. Anyways, I'm sitting on the couch and Christian was able to take care of that for me. Ever since then, rolling into Oakland, yes, it's our responsibility to make sure we get the new parts back on the motorcycle. Most of them are still on a barge, sitting out in the port, Long Beach. It does make it very difficult and stressful finding plastics. Like, most of it's new. Sometimes I reuse some stuff just to cut cost and to help. Like, I mean, if we don't have it, we don't have it. We try to take the nice stuff from last weekend and reuse what we can, but for the most part, it is pretty new.